Hey everybody, how's it going? It's Jamie, the Crafty DIY guy. Welcome to my channel. Now, I'm super excited about all of these projects today because all of these have a very high-end feel and look, and they all did not cost a fortune, which is always a good thing in my book. Also, this is a very special collaboration today with a group of friends. This is a friend hop that I will tell you about in a minute. Also, I want to make sure that you know that you are valuable to me, and I thank you so much for being here. If you are a subscriber of mine that have been with me for a while, you know I call you guys my OGs. Thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate it. If you're brand new to the channel, maybe even checking it out for the first time because of the friend hop, thank you so much. I hope that you will stick around and become a subscriber. And let's jump into the projects, and be sure to follow the directions for the friend hop, because you just might win something. All right, guys, thanks. All right, everyone, and for project number 1, I'm going to be using 2 of these mini Dollar Tree terracotta pots. Also, I'm taking some jute twine, some burlap flowers from Michael's, and then also some of these painted wood beads. I'm going to take about 20 inches, I would say, of my jute twine, and I'm just going to unroll one big long piece. For these, you do want to make sure that whatever you're doing it's a good length. I went ahead and put some tape on the end of my twine there, and I'm just going to thread my beads. I'm going to thread about 6 or 7 beads onto the one side here, and then I'm going to take my twine and I'm going to tie it in a knot. I'm actually going to do a double knot, and you want to make sure that your beads are going to be long enough to stick out from the bottom of your clay pots. So I went ahead and tied off one knot, and then I did add another knot and kind of lined it up and made the knot. And then I am going to take those beads and let them rest on top of that knot, and then I'm going to tie another knot at the top of that. Now, I did go ahead and also thread my twine, or my jute twine, through that pot like you see me doing here, and then I'm going to take the other pot and thread that jute twine back through the pot like so. And then I'm going to start threading more beads on this side of it. And again, 6 or 7 beads, I don't remember what I did. And I am just threading them right through. If you use a little bit of like tape or hot glue on the end of your jute twine, it does make threading those beads so much easier for the most part. Looks like that one's given me a little trouble there. But again, once I did that, I just went ahead and tied the double knot again, and then tied the knot at the top of the twine, and created kind of this bell effect with my beads. And you'll see here, I'm going to go ahead and tie those off, and then when I start to pull that jute twine through those pots, you can kind of see how it's starting to shape up and look like a set of bells. Now, for this next part, I did want to go ahead and make sure that I've got everything nice and clean, so I'm just going to trim away any of that excess. And then, as you can see here, they are kind of hanging and super cute, and they look like little bells. Now I'm going to take those burlap flowers that I picked up from Michael's. Dollar Tree is also selling very similar looking flowers that you could totally use for this. And I am just going to glue those on the side of my terracotta pots. I'm going to do one on each side. Depending on how you're going to use this, you could certainly do just one set of flowers if you wanted to. Now at the top where the 2 strings kind of come together, it's all the same string. I just kind of folded it down. I added 2 beads and then tied a knot, and then did another 2 beads. That way I had a loop to hang this on. Now, this is what it looks like hanging on the wall in the guest bedroom. I do love the way that this looks, but for me, I am actually going to be putting these outside, and I'm hanging them in my little oak tree that I have outside. I love how cute they look, especially next to that birdhouse that I picked up from Pop Shelf during one of my last hauls. I really love the way that this looks. It's super cute. I'm not worried about it weather-wise because it is terracotta. I did use an all-purpose glue on those flowers. I think it's going to hold up just fine. As a reminder, this is a Guys versus Gals friend hop that is sponsored by Surebonder. All of the videos in our friend hop today feature some amazing guy and gal crafters. We are so excited to bring you all of our DIY projects. All you have to do is follow the link in my description box below and literally hop to the next video. Be sure and watch all 11 of us and also leave a comment on every single person's video. And when you do that, you will automatically be entered into our contest that is sponsored by Surebonder. Surebonder is giving a $100 gift card to surebonder.com, and this is open to Canadian and United States residents. So be sure and leave a comment on every single person's video and hop along. We will be doing the drawing on Monday, July 5th. So be sure and watch for your YouTube comments to get a response back, because that's how you will know that you will win. Now, on to the next project. And for project number 2, I'm going to take this wooden box that I picked up from Dollar Tree Plus. It was $5, and I loved the way it looked. I also had this copper scrapbook paper. It looks like it's metal, doesn't it? Now, this is just a template that I created that would fit within the top part of that box there. I want to make this a copper insert inside of here. Now, the first thing I'm going to do is take that hardware off the front, and then I am going to take this outside and spray paint it. Now, for mine, I'm just going to use this kind of a white spray paint from Rust-Oleum. It is kind of a matte. It doesn't have a gloss finish or anything like that, and this is perfect. I did 2 very light coats on this. I made sure that I didn't have any, excessive oversprays, and just tried to be super patient with me, or with it. I'm not always the most patient spray painter, and sometimes I can get a little goopy. So now, after that first coat dried, I went back in there and I spray painted it again, gave you a little different angle here so you can kind of see. And yes, by the way, that is an old carpet that I have that I use as my drop cloth. It works out really well. It holds up in the weather. I can store it under my deck really easily, and I kind of like working on it. So don't hate me too much on that part. Now, I went back inside while that was drying, and I just took my template that I created, and I'm just going to now trace it onto my copper scrapbook paper here. I still can't believe that this is scrapbook paper. How beautiful is this? It's such a vibrant copper color, and I really love the way that this looked, and it looks just like copper metal, which is insane. Now, by the way, speaking of that copper color, you didn't see it there because I forgot to film it, but the hardware I'm using that I took off of the box, I did actually spray paint that copper as well. So it is going to have that same copper gorgeous glow that this paper has. Now, for this paper here, I'm just going to follow it right along the line there, and I did leave just a little bit, that way if I needed to trim it down just a smidge, I could. I definitely didn't want to make multiple cuts or mess up or waste any of my other copper paper. And again, how beautiful is that paper? Now, for the hardware, this is where I forgot to film the spray paint. But what I did was I took that template that I created, and I took it and then just stuck the hardware to it, and then took it outside, spray painted it. Voila, through the magic of TV and YouTube, now it is spray painted copper. So I'm just going to put it back onto the box itself, and I spray painted the screws and everything, and then I'm just going to take my little tiny screwdriver. By the way, you can pick this tiny screwdriver set up at Dollar Tree, and it is fantastic. It is one of the best little tool sets that I've picked up there, because it is ideal for these little tiny screws that come with a lot of the Dollar Tree items. Now, I just wanted to make sure that I had everything lined up properly and that I put everything back together the right way. I honestly couldn't remember which way the hardware went, but as you will see, everything worked out just fine here, and the box did close, so I consider that a win, and I'm ready to go. Now I am going to take my copper insert, and we are going to add it to the bottom or the under part of that kind of lattice work. And as you can see here, it does work out really well. I'm actually using hot glue. If I were to do this again, I would probably just use like my glue sticks, just some good old Elmer's in here. And I just kind of smoothed it out, and as you can see, it creates a beautiful, beautiful color. I love the way this looks, especially the way that copper hardware now is popping, especially off of the copper coming through the top there. This is the perfect little box for your dresser. I think it would be a great box on your coffee table for your remotes. I'm putting matches in mine and my remote and just kind of miscellaneous things that, you need to have, but you don't necessarily want everybody to see. Again, I think this is so, so sweet. This could be a beautiful jewelry box or a keepsake box. I'm super, super happy with the way that this turned out. Now for my last DIY, I am taking 2 of these rings. These are wreath rings that are from the 3D wreath forms that you can find at Dollar Tree. And then these wooden beads and the succulents are a mix. So the beads are from Amazon and the succulents are from Dollar Tree. Now the beads I grabbed were 3 different sizes. There was the 30 millimeter, a 25 millimeter, and a 20 millimeter, and they do come in one bag. So I'm going to take 5 or 6 of the largest beads, which is the 30 millimeter ones, and I am just going to start looping them into the largest ring on my wreath form there. And then I'm going to go in with some of the smaller beads, kind of the medium-sized beads, and I'm going to add, I think I did 4 or 5 on each side of the larger. And that's kind of the benefit of splitting that ring, because one, you have to do that to get those wood beads on there, but it's pretty easy to put, a few on one side and then a few on another. And then again, just kind of going and repeating with that other side, doing the same thing. I want to say I did like 5 or 6. I use my phone to edit everything, and it's really hard for me to see sometimes. But anyway, what I'm going to do here is where that ring was split, where I had to cut it, I am actually going to take some hot glue and put it in that space. And the reason why I'm doing that is because that is going to help hold those 2 rings together. So not only did I add a little bit of hot glue, but now I'm going to also squirt some down in the hole, and that is going to help hold everything together. Now for that second ring, I'm kind of repeating that similar process, but instead of using the larger bead, I'm going to use now that medium-sized bead, and then I'm going to use that other smaller bead. So I'm using, again, the 20 millimeter and then the 25 millimeter, I think it was. And then after I had enough beads on there and I was happy with it, I did go ahead and just wire those together just to make sure that everything would hold nicely for the next step, which I think you are going to be pretty surprised about. Now, for this next step, I'm actually using something by a company called Catch. And Catch makes crafting mats, and they also make this great painter's tape. Now, what's cool about this tape is that it has that sticky side, but it also has that fabric side. It's kind of like a felt fabric. And all I'm going to do is take it and I'm going to wrap it around the metal part of the wreath ring here, where I'm going to be adding my florals. Now, you may be thinking, why am I going to do that? Well, if I have something like this fabric, I will be able to glue all of my succulents and my greenery and everything directly to my wreath form. I don't have to worry about using any kind of wiring or anything. And, it actually is really, really easy. Now, you do want to go ahead and just make sure that everything stays nice and tight. Add a little bit of hot glue. I've got my Surebonder hot glue in there, and I'm literally just covering this wreath form with this Catch painter's tape. And the reason why, again, that I'm doing that is because it is going to allow me to literally directly glue all of my succulents, all of my greenery directly to that fabric. How cool is that? That is such a different and unique way to really use some of like a painter's tape. Now, for this succulent bunch or this greenery bunch, this is actually from IKEA, and I am just going to pull apart and pull some of the pieces off of here. These, it was lucky I didn't have to cut them. You could literally just kind of pluck them off. And I'm going through and just picking some, some exotic, some eucalyptus, some fern pieces, some other pieces that I don't know what they are. And I am just going to start with my lower parts now. I'm going to add a little bit of hot glue directly to that fabric that I glued down, or that catch tape there, and just kind of figure out where my placement is. And I'm going to add a little bit of glue to that exposed metal piece. I didn't want to go all the way down with the tape because I was afraid that it might show too much. And as you can see, it is going to hold really, really well. And then I'm going to let that dry. I'm going to add a little bit more hot glue, and I'm literally just going to start building my layers with my ferns and my eucalyptus pieces and everything else. I think I even added a little bit of glue right here onto the metal piece and then onto the bead itself. Again, just helping hold everything together and keeping everything really, really lightweight and beautiful. Just kind of squeezing it together, making sure that everything is in place, and then moving on to the next step. Once I got to the next step and started really creating and really building the foundation, I started loving the way that this was looking. Using those eucalyptus pieces and fern pieces and other greenery pieces in that whole set from IKEA really made this come alive. Now, once I was happy with the way that everything looked, it was time to add my succulents. These are the succulents that are kind of more of the rubbery ones versus the plastic ones that you can get at Dollar Tree. They have a little bit more movement to me. They seem to have a little bit more life. A lot of these also have clips on the bottom of them, so you can find those a little bit easier. And you're literally just going to add these to your wreath form, and when you are done, you have the most vibrant, beautiful, super cool wreath. This looks like, to me, something I could sell on Etsy and probably make a small fortune on it. You know, I spent some money on the beads, of course, and I spent some money on the succulents, but again, did not spend anywhere near what somebody would be charging for one of these. And by the way, what do you think of my yellow door? You guys are getting a sneak peek at my front porch reveal video that is going to be coming up next. So again, super, super happy with this wreath. I love this so much. I'm obsessed with this, and I'm pretty sure that my mom is going to try and steal it from me. Hey everybody, I hope you enjoyed the video today. If you did, please give me a thumbs up, and remember that every single comment you leave below is an entry into the sweepstakes. But in order for you to be fully entered in the sweepstakes, you have to follow that friend hop link to the next video and to the next video, and you have to watch all 11 of us, comment on everybody's video, and maybe you'll be selected as our random drawing winner for the Surebonder gift card. All right, guys, thanks so much. Take care.